Pete Hegseth came out and said it. I mean, he's giving the left exactly what they want. He hates diversity, just loathes it. Now, personally, I love me some diversity. I used to love, one of the things I miss about living in big cities was the opportunity to go immerse yourself, even temporarily, in a different culture. In the separate country of Seattle, within the separate country of Washington, there's a really vibrant place that everyone in the world calls Chinatown, although the tyrannical authorities are very, very, very insistent that we start to call it the International District. But it's not an international district. It's Chinatown. And I used to love to go there because you could eat Chinese food that you couldn't identify. My friend Matthew, dear, dear brother of mine, he is fascinated with Chinese culture. He's been to China multiple times as a tech executive, and he even speaks a little bit of the language. So he would take me to these places where no one spoke English. There are no white people. And, man, you get the stink eye, the corner eye when you walk in there, because what are you doing in here? There are the sort of Americanized places. No place down there is really, really Americanized. But this is these corner of the wall sort of places. And when Matthew would come in and speak a little bit of Mandarin and ask from the menus, everything changed. We would sit down, and I had food I'd never had before. It's fungus soup, and it's these preparations of ducks. There is a place down there called, I'm going to forget the name of it. But they make a barley green noodle. I mean, you want to eat about 400 billion grams of carbs in a setting and love it. It's this fresh barley in this green form that they make. You could watch them do this, and it tastes like you're eating butter. And I used to love it when I lived in Washington, D.C., because I could take a quick train ride down to New York, and you could go from the Orthodox Jewish section of town. You could go to an Hispanic section of town. You could go through the downtown, the business corridor. You could just experience all these cultures. I miss that. But Pete Hegseth hates diversity, and he even admitted it.
I think the single dumbest phrase in military history is our diversity is our strength. I think our strength is our unity. Our strength is our shared purpose, regardless of our background, regardless of how we grew up, regardless of our gender, regardless of our race. In this department, we will treat everyone equally. We will treat everyone with fairness. We will treat everyone with respect. And we will judge you as an individual by your merit and by your commitment to the team and the mission. That's how it has been. That's how it will be. Any inference otherwise is meant to divide or create complications that otherwise should not and do not exist.
He's talking, of course, about what military units need to be able to be a unit. Now, I've never served. I don't know that I've ever had the capacity to serve. In the tiny little, small, minuscule, joke-like sample I got of this, of my 12 hours at SEAL Fit before my kidneys gave out, I noticed we all dressed the same. No one had a first name. And you always had a swim buddy with you. And if you failed to take your swim buddy with you to the bathroom to get something to eat on a penalty run, that was one of the worst things you could ever do, and you would pay a huge cost if you were ever alone, regardless of the reason. Because they were making us a unit. The first part of SEAL Fit was to make us focus on ourselves and forget the fact that we're a team. And they were doing everything they could to divide us. And there were even guys who'd been through SEAL Fit before saying, guys, remember, they're trying to divide us. It wasn't until we gelled as a team where things started to work. So you're going to see in Pete Hegseth the difference. He's already proving the difference. You had Lloyd Austin dress up in that ridiculous veil with his ridiculous black suit to march ridiculously around with our enemies, separating himself economically and from a perspective of power and lording his power over others. General White Rage, the same thing. All the medals on the chest, guys who've never won a war, people who wear medals on their chest for diversity and employing diversity at HR. Pete Hegseth showed he is the man who absolutely means we're going to treat everybody the same, and he did it in a really, really important way with physicality. That's a language people who serve in the military can understand. Physicality. To be consistently physical, whether it's in your daily work, Whether you're a law enforcement officer, you are a firefighter, a paramedic, a logger, you work on homes, or you're in a job where you stink and sit all day, say behind a desk that looks like a motorcycle, you have to take care of your physicality. I vouch for the products at Bioptimizers across the boards. There are some key products I use, particularly on sleep. So tonight is a short sleep night. Tonight, I'll be lucky to get 5.5 hours of sleep, just given my schedule. And this is a day where I woke up at about 3:30 in the morning. I'll get to sleep tonight somewhere around 9:30, get up the next day at 3:30. So on the way home from our life group, I will drink Sleep Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, and I'll use that to swallow probably 4 of the tablets of Magnesium Breakthrough. About 10 minutes after that, I'm going to feel warmth. I'm going to feel relaxation. When I get home, I'm not going to get a lot of time sleeping, but I'll look at my watch in the morning, and I almost guarantee you I'm going to get the correct amount of deep and the correct amount of REM sleep. So my watch is probably going to say shorter than usual, calm, plenty of deep. That's what I'm going to hear. If you ever face challenges sleeping or with relaxation or with regularity, those 2 products stacked together have delivered great results for me. Go to bioptimizers.com/Todd. Use promo code Todd to get 10% off all their products. And when you subscribe, you're going to get exclusive discounts. You'll get exclusive free gifts and exclusive information packs. It's bioptimizers.com/Todd. Use promo code Todd. So the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, unlike General White Rage, who couldn't do it, unlike General Austin, who couldn't do it, because they stopped being military men and became fat politicians, Pete Hegseth decided to go work out with the troops.
You made a point to do PT with 10th group this morning on very little sleep. Why was it so important for you to do this? And tell us about the workout.
I did do PT with the troops this morning. Listen, it's not that long ago that I was right there with them. I probably, no offense, General, I probably connect more with those guys than I do with 4-star generals. But now I get the chance of working with 4 stars and others who are committed to the troops. But when I can get down, do push-ups and deadlifts with the troops, and just hear from them, what's working, what isn't, how do you see your mission set? I love that. So there was never a doubt, even though we got in at 2 in the morning, that we were getting up a couple hours later to go do PT. It's a reminder that you guys, the press in Washington might think I'm young, but in military terms, I'm old. And that showed this morning with these young guys who ran circles around me in that parking lot.
If you lose touch of the people you're commanding and you no longer hear their voices or see their faces or have them have an opportunity to speak into you, you're losing touch with the battlefield. You're losing touch then with the enemy. You're losing touch with the engagement. You are entering into the world of theory. You're no longer impacted by this because you don't see the faces of the men and women who are impacted by it, the ones who have to actually carry out the orders. That's an important part of diversity. He's the SecDef, and he subjects himself to early morning workouts without a lot of sleep. And by the way, I don't think the military's making sure that everybody gets good solid 8 hours of sleep. I don't think that's the lifestyle. If you lose that form of diversity, you're losing any of the capability to relate in a diversified way. So Hegseth can sit at a table with 4-star generals and say, that's a great theory. But I've talked to the troops. That doesn't work. By the way, this is Hegseth recovering from the workout, shaking hands. It's a cool facility. And, I know that's meaningful to those guys, that the boss of bosses came in and killed it with them. Imagine how fun it is for them to in a workout, euphemistically speaking. And a guy who enjoys that and gets a kick out of it and is going to go in knowing he doesn't train 3 times a day like these guys, he's going to get his head handed to him, is a guy who has some humility. This is a different SecDef. So he doesn't hate diversity. It doesn't belong in a team setting. Now, we all have different gifts and different skills, but in a team setting like this in the military, sometimes you have to do the dirty job. And there's pastors who use this example. They were all given gifts by God. Not talking about spiritual gifts because that's divisive, and there's people who think that spiritual gifts no longer exist and spiritual gifting doesn't happen. But you could say, for instance, and pastors will tell this story, like, hey, pastor, I want to serve in the church. I've been coming here for a while. I realize I don't serve. So what's a place I could serve? I really, whatever it is, I want to do it. All right. You know what? We are really short on people to shovel snow. Yeah. So that's not my gifting. I'm really gifted at leadership and at leading. I'm gifted at, being a boss. And so that's not, and I want to do something that is in line with my gifting. Oh, like when Jesus refused to wash feet because he was gifted. Interesting view of serving. Interesting view of diversity, isn't it? Jesus, with all those skills, chose to do the least popular job. Oh, and on the topic of diversity, we're told that skin color decides everything, but apparently it doesn't. There's some people who are willing to look at the performance of someone and then make a judgment, such as this lady talking about her Kamala regret. And understand, farmers working on a pill for this that can help you get over the farmer regret or the Kamala regret. It has some side effects, but I'm not going to tell you about those.
Listen, let me be one of the first black women that was a part of the 92 or the 93% that voted for Kamala to come out and just say it. I regret voting for Kamala. I really do. I regret voting for her. Already into Trump's presidency, not even a full month. And this man has already secured borders. He's already signing bills that are taking place, that are uplifting this country. Me not doing my history and really, being investigative and seeing all the things that Trump has done, and now having an eye-opener and really looking at this man and seeing exactly how this man works has really put something on my heart. And I don't know what I was thinking going in there voting for Kamala in the first place. I'm glad of the results. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Trump is in there, but me being so lost and participating into the whole Kamala run and now taking a step back, looking at how this president here is really running things, and it hasn't even been a whole month, is something that I do think about. So, I advise people that are in the Democratic Party, myself, to do your research. Really do your research, okay? Because I can definitely say that as a black woman, a part of the 93%, I made an error. I can admit that. I can take accountability and admit that.
That's almost like washing feet. Humility is hard. And admitting something like that is hard. And diversity, actual diversity, man, it's cool. Some settings where it has to be unity above that.